Let's dive into our second activity where food is transformed into essential nutrients. Today, we will discover the chemical magic behind digestion. Mechanical digestion is just the beginning. Food does not only undergo mechanical digestion like the chewing in the mouth and the churning in the stomach. The process of digestion is not done in one step. The main mechanism of digestion involves the chemical transformation of large food molecules into smaller ones. Problems to be solved. What substances facilitate the chemical transformation? Under what conditions? When you hear the word enzymes, think of scissors. These specific proteins are going to cut the nutrient, for example starch molecule, into smaller fragments. Ever wondered how enzymes work their magic? Each enzyme binds to a specific substrate to break it down and produce a specific product. For example, the substrate could be starch. It is broken down into maltose by an enzyme called amylase. Have you ever thought about this scenario? Whenever we eat bread, a food rich in starch, we end up with a sweet taste in our mouth. How does this happen? As we've seen previously, starch is a complex molecule of sugars. On its own, it does not taste sweet. Whenever it undergoes chemical digestion under the action of specific enzymes, it transforms into sugar molecules, which give us this sweet taste in our mouth. The digestion of starch happens in different places in our body, like the mouth and the small intestine, and involves many enzymes which we'll be learning about today. Let's learn about the chemical digestion of carbs starting with starch. Saliva sets the stage for starch's transformation into maltose. Saliva, a digestive juice, contains chemical substances called enzymes. They are produced by the body and facilitate the simplification of a complex molecule. The enzymes found in saliva are responsible for the transformation of starch from a complex molecule to a simpler molecule, the maltose. These enzymes are named salivary amylase. An important thing to keep in mind: the digestion of starch stops temporarily in the stomach because of the high acidity in it. But the starch digestion process will be resumed in the small intestine. The final product of starch digestion is obtained in the small intestine. There, maltose is mixed with the intestinal juice that contains an enzyme called maltase. Maltase digests the maltose into glucose, the simplest nutrient obtained from starch, our body's simple sugar fuel. The intestinal juice contains digestive enzymes responsible for the digestion of double sugars. Sucrose, a double sugar that can be found in candy, is digested by sucrase into glucose and fructose. Meet lactase. It tackles lactose, transforming it into glucose and galactose. Lactose is a double sugar that can be found in milk. And finally, you remember maltose, right? The double sugar obtained after the breakdown of starch under the action of amylase. Is digested by maltase into glucose. Saliva is secreted in the mouth by salivary glands. It contains the salivary amylase. The pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice into the small intestine. It contains the pancreatic amylase. The small intestine's glands secrete the intestinal juice. It contains the intestinal maltase. As we've seen, the starch digestion usually begins in the mouth where salivary amylase transforms it into maltose. This double sugar will continue its trip to the small intestine, encountering the intestinal maltase where it will be digested into glucose. There is one more special case. Starch digestion could also begin in the small intestine, but this time it will be digested into maltose by a different amylase secreted by the pancreas. We call it the pancreatic amylase. Then digestion continues normally, where the intestinal maltase will take action and transform the maltose into glucose. That's a wrap for the part involving carbs digestion. See you next time when we learn about the chemical digestion of proteins and lipids.